Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Flow of Consciousness YouTube channel. I'm currently in Venice, Italy, and the city is full of bridges. And originally I thought I would talk about burning bridges because I think it was relevant, but then again I don't think it's a thing I want to talk about today, because what I want to talk about today is one of my favorite communication techniques, which is using I statements instead of you statements. Now, what does this mean? Let's say you want to address something that really frustrates you with another person. Instead of saying, you make me angry because you do X, you can say, I can see that you do X and I feel frustrated because of that. Let me give you a more practical example. Let's say you live together with a housemate and he or she is putting the dishes in the sink and this really frustrates you. You can address this in a few different ways. You could say, you make me really angry because you always put the dishes in the sink and I hate it when you do that, right? This is one way to do that, and it's probably most likely going to cause drama or a fight. Another way to address this is, I can see that you're putting the dishes in the sink and I feel frustrated about that. Would you be open to talk about this issue with me? This is a way for you to address the topic in a less aggressive manner, which allows the other person to engage in a less defensive way, right? You open up the conversation for a dialogue instead of an argument or a fight, which will allow you to actually navigate the conversation a lot more smoothly, because the other person will not be on the fence, right? They are opening themselves up and they can see your point of view. And what's really important here is that you share the observation first, then you talk about how you feel about it, and then ask if the other person is actually willing to talk about this with you. Now, what is also really important is to see things from their perspective, right? Maybe they were raised in a family where everybody puts the dishes in the sink and they never learned to wash them when they're finished, okay? It's important that you understand where they're coming from as well. And you can say this again in a I statement. I am trying to understand where you're coming from. Can you help me understand you better? That way you give them the space to explain where they're coming from, and you can resolve the situation a lot more easily. So using I statements instead of you statements is way less attacking than using you statements. Try to become a little bit more aware of how you're using language in conversations with people, because it makes a huge difference in the amount of conflicts you will have. It makes a huge difference in the amount of smooth communications and dialogues you will have with people, because so much is decided by the language you use. I'm a big fan of creating a dialogue between people and not an argument or a fight, because a fight, there is two people actually, emotionally aroused, and that doesn't really solve the problems. There will be two egos fighting against each other, and there won't be any room in that case for understanding, for mutual compassion, for an effort, for trying to make an effort to really work things out together. Now, if you start off on a good note by stating an observation, you want to make it as objective as possible, right? Saying that I can see that the dishes are in the sink every time when I enter the kitchen, for example. This is an objective observation that you notice and that you can share in a neutral tonality. And then you proceed by saying how it makes you feel. I feel frustrated, or it makes me feel like the kitchen is not very organized and I like to live in an organized space. This is important to me and I would like to discuss this with you. Another thing, maybe in a relationship you feel neglected, or you feel like your partner is not really paying attention to you the way you would like that. You can again make an objective observation. I see that when you come home, you immediately start reading the newspaper and I feel a little bit left out because of that. Would you be willing to discuss this with me? This again allows your partner to actually approach you with an open attitude without being on the fence immediately from the start off, because then they will throw another argument your way. They will maybe say, yeah, but you never do X, and then it escalates, and that is not what you want. What you want is to actually discuss something that you feel frustrated about and you want to solve that problem. The most important thing is that you both solve the problem and that you both feel good about it, right? You don't want to cause the situation to escalate so that nobody actually wins. You want to create a win-win situation here, and you do that by starting off with a neutral tonality and using I statements instead of you statements. So I hope that was helpful. A little quick video on a communication tool that I really like to use. So take a moment to think about where you are using mostly you statements instead of I statements, and think about ways you can change them into I statements. And I'm using a lot of you statements to talk to you, obviously, because this channel is about you and I want to help you. So hopefully you found this helpful. And I would actually like to include a little bit more communication tools and techniques on this channel because I love this stuff. I feel very passionate about communication. I think it's one of the most important skills you can learn in your life. So feel free to let me know down below in the comments if this is something you would like to see more of on this channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.